I think you are.
Hang on, I'm being serious now. It's work.
Okay, good.
Welcome to This Is True Really News. Hang on. We would love it if you would like, subscribe, and follow This Is True Really News at whatever streaming place you're listening and or watching us.
You went to a mail order broadcasting school, didn't you?
It's written right here.
Mm-hmm.
Comma. Like, subscribe, follow This Is Truly News. We'll be just peachy keen and love you forever. And might not take your name in vain, which would be a plus because, you know, it's not.
We typically take people's names in vain.
Not really a badge of honor or anything.
No.
So like, subscribe, and follow us. And if you got a story we think would fit in this, whatever this is, just go ahead and send it off to TITR@netradio.network.
This is True, Really News with Scott Combs and Tony Vercanis. All the news you're about to hear is true,
Really?
as far as you know.
My
So
sister-in-law is taking another day off, by the way.
Is she? And doing what?
I don't know. Apparently she's resting from having to travel all the way from
Minnesota
Minneapolis to
back to Colorado.
someplace in Colorado.
Okay.
Loveland? No, that's where Ann moved from.
Well, where's the maximum security prison?
No, she is such a.
That's true. She's a rule follower.
She's such a two goody shoes thing.
Now, we have talked about in the past
A lot.
Yeah, well, there is that. But I mean, we've talked about teachers, and there's this whole thing going on about teachers. We got to respect them. We got to love them. We got to, and I'm kind of going, well, everybody gets a minimal amount of respect just for being a human being. But then they can
And in
lose
this day and age, minimal would be the operative word there.
Right. Well, you get a certain amount. You respect the fact that there's another human there until they reveal themselves as dinks, right? And I've had
And the
more than
respect
my
level
fair
goes down.
share.
But even then, it doesn't go all the way to 0.
No. Well,
3, I think.
yeah. Anyway, here's a guy who was in the second semester of his freshman year taking a music theory course. The professor apparently was very serious, as was my music theory instructor.
You know why?
Why?
I'm blaming it on Dane Bramage. I can think of nothing else.
And the class was intended
Because they all are.
Yeah.
This is music theory.
And this is very serious.
As
Anyway,
opposed to when you actually listen to music. And
and enjoy.
sometimes it feels good and sometimes it's sad. And no, it's very serious.
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes it's funny. But
But only when Warner Brothers does it.
this was a weed out. What did I just do? This was a weed out class for students who wanted to pursue music education, but this student was taking it only for fun because he had previous experience.
I was going to say, what, underwater basket weaving was already full?
By the time the end of the semester rolled around, I got the feeling she didn't really like me because I didn't pay attention in class, but still got A's on all the homework, exams, and playing tests. I'd played piano for a decade at this point. So she couldn't really punish me for anything since I wasn't disrupting the class. Our final project comes along to find a poem we liked and craft a song using the poem as the lyrics. As she passed out the requirement sheet, she announced she would be playing these for class, so we need to put some effort in so that we don't feel embarrassed by what she plays in front of everyone. You know, now the minute I would have heard that, I would have said, "Oh, good Lord, we're doing Three Blind Mice."
Look at what the poem I'm choosing is There Once Was a Man from Nantucket.
And the whole music track is wacka wacka bow wow.
Wow, wow.
So she
Google it. 70s porn movie.
She shoots a
No,
glance.
don't Google that. Google music from
70s.
They all sound the same.
She shoots a glance at me, the least involved student, as she says, you don't want to be embarrassed by what she plays in front of everyone. Well, I took it as a challenge. So I found a poem called A Minor Bird and decided to craft my masterpiece in the key of E flat minor. Now, especially if you're a piano player, you're going to understand what this means. I'm going to tell you what it means. 6 of the 7 notes are lowered half a step.
Except for one, of course, which isn't.
So it's not a matter of thinking everything I see is lowered half a step as compared to everything but one note is lowered.
Which note?
In E flat minor, probably E flat.
Okay.
It's fairly hard to keep track of while sight reading, something that utilizes both hands on the piano. And I spent weeks working on this because I wanted to make sure it was both well written and an absolute plonker for her to play. Day finally arrives.
Got like a man with a goal.
Teacher breezes in. I certainly hope everyone met the requirements and put care into their work. If not, we'll soon find out. He goes to the piano, pulls the first paper off the stack, makes a couple of comments, pulls mine up about 2/3 of the way through, sits down to play it, and stops at the first chord. Looks around, makes eye contact with me, and glares before regaining her composure and plunking through my piece.
And hit him with the daffy. You're despicable.
There are several chords that make a nice crunch before she corrects herself. That darn not flat note tripped her up every time. And it sounds like whoever wrote the piece did an awful job. At the end, the meek international student who has perfect pitch raises her hand and says, "Excuse me, Dr. Music Instructor, that piece you just played, it has 6 flats in the key, right?" Professor says, "Yes, it did. I didn't quite expect that." Student says, "You didn't play all 6 flats. It didn't sound." Professor turns, glares at me, and says, No, I did not." I got a 97% because she marked a chord label incorrect. I went back in and showed her she missed the not flat note in the chord, and it was actually labeled correctly. Got it changed to 100%.
Smugly left the room.
I sauntered out. It took him 3 days to get out the door.
That was a meander for the ages right there.
You're up, Ming.
He couldn't get through the door. His chest was so puffed. So they were a team of Wranglers. See, we go from the heady music theory to cowboys.
Or
team of Wranglers, including one actually on horseback, chased down and captured a wayward steer named Lester.
Lester had gotten out the door.
There have been ballads written about Lester, the wayward steer, I'm sure.
That's right. Lester and his girlfriend, Chester.
No, that'd be wrong.
Okay, I'm good at that.
Yep. There's one thing weird about it, though. It happened across several lanes of a Detroit area freeway.
At Detroit, I never hear anybody say Detroit cattle.
Trying to picture the Ponderosa, like in
way north,
like in South Detroit. And I don't mean in Canada. State police in-car video shows the tail end of a Sunday afternoon chase on northbound I-75 in Holly, about 57 miles northwest of Detroit. Well, a rider on horseback and 3 folks, 2 ATVs, can be seen chasing Lester in and around fields and woods along the east side of the freeways as the state police car follows ever so slowly carefully behind on the shoulder. At one point, Lester races. Can cattle race sort of, yeah.
They're not exactly trained for it.
No.
But he might have put on a burst. This guy was looking for his freedom.
I'm not thinking this is a Joyner Kersey moment at all. At one point, Lester races from near a clump of trees toward the freeway lanes and is quickly cut off by one of the ATVs before running behind the vehicle and into traffic. 3 vehicles pass the steer as it runs into the northbound lanes, and it is Detroit, so I'm sure they were yelling and flipping him off.
And shooting at him.
Do steers understand? Well, they've been, The rider
it looks like another very small hoof.
The rider on horseback, how's he walk on that thing? The rider's on horseback, catches up and lassos Lester, which then runs into the median, hops a guard. How the hell does a cow hop a guardrail? Now he's on the freeway southbound shoulder before he finally stopped.
How long was he on the lam?
It was a what? Hey,
what?
You're missing your animalaphores.
And maybe that's an image I shouldn't conjure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now it's getting pretty ugly in my head. The state police wrote on their Twitter page, eventually, after much tomfoolery, the critter was captured and removed from the freeway. That's because wayward cattle have a weird sense of humor. And it would be more Lester foolery, really. Troopers reopened the freeway and things quickly got back to normal. The bovine was not charged and is back in the pasture with what a story to tell all of his friends.
Oh,
here you go. Lester had been on the lamb?
Yeah.
No, it's written that way here.
Does it really?
Yeah. For several weeks, he escaped from a ranch where Lester and 4 other bovine were relocated after escaping from pens at an animal rescue facility in Rose
so they're
Township.
repeat offenders.
I'm thinking they should be like in a maximum security ranch.
I think we had to send them to Germany, back to whatever Stalag that was.
The
Great Escape.
Yeah, but this is different. This would be more like John Dillinger.
Oh, I was thinking more like Steve McQueen.
Talking American prison break here.
Trying to teach the cow to drive a motorcycle.
Now that'd been worth the price of admission, right? I mean, McQueen is cool, but I just don't think you keep your cool when you're teaching a cow on a motorcycle. Another agency called in Wranglers, who initially captured the group, but Lester did what Lester does. He escaped again and was on the loose until his recapture.
He's a slippery bovine.
Last Sunday. This is one thing, just so never grease pigs and or cattle.
Because they're hard to catch.
It's just harder to catch them that way.
Okay, let's get back to the real world, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen.
What, cows in Detroit are not the...
No, we've got some more animal references here from the Flathead Beacon police blotter. We'll start with a non-animal reference.
All right.
4:58 a.m. A man's girlfriend threatened to sleep outside because he kept leaving for work in the morning.
Ma'am, if he doesn't leave for work in the morning, you will have to sleep outside.
See, this is the issue, honey.
Figure it out.
10:44 a.m. A woman reported being stalked by a mountain lion while walking her dog. Now, that might be a good reason to inform the cops if there's a mountain lion running around town.
Mountain lion behind you going.
Exit, stage left.
Humor all the way.
2:49 p.m. Two mules.
Wait.
What?
Heavens to Murgatroyd. Okay, go ahead.
2:49 p.m. Two mules were wandering along the road.
What was Linus the Lionhearted? Remember?
With the lion heart.
He even had cereal.
The sweetest and the most taste. So roar,
they all
roar,
did
roar
back then.
for Linus the king, Linus the star, Linus the lion-hearted. Linus is the one who lights up the fun. He's the host for which we boast, or of which we boast, I think. He's the lion heart with the purple.
Speaking of Linus, do you suppose he and Sally ever hooked up?
Okay, now that's a reference to
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move along. 4:15 p.m.
Chicken.
The two mules were wandering along the road an hour ago. Now, 4:15 p.m., a woman reported her neighbors kept stealing her cat, and she has to go into their house to retrieve it each time. I wonder if the cat's just not getting in. But 6:44 p.m., the two mules had added one. Three mules were wandering about.
There's a joke in there somewhere. So three mules are walking down the sidewalk.
Passerby says, "Why the long faces?"
But
7:23 p.m. Someone reported
at which point the horse looked at you and goes, "Not funny, Harold."
Yeah, get out. 7:23 p.m. Someone reported their neighbor's dead llama that had been buried in the snow over the winter was now visible following a spate of warm days that melted the snowy pile. Back to you, Tone. Idiot, can't bury it now. It's winter.
Yeah, I just put some snow on them. It'll be close. They're not fluffy. They don't play fetch, and they certainly don't roll over, but there is such a thing as a lap tortoise.
Man, if they do roll over, it's serious.
It's not tortoise. They won't get the other direction again because it's called turtling.
Yeah.
What's more, pet tortoises can wag their tails, will plod on up to greet you if you're not in a hurry, and even recognize their own names.
Really?
Well, they're not complicated. I mean, what do you name a tortoise? Tommy, Tammy?
Mr. Mephistic?
Sure. That's only at your house. The surprise, didn't you have a big tortoise somewhere?
No, we had a hare.
That was
We had
it.
a German rabbit.
Yeah. Surprising warmth of this ancient cold-blooded creature.
His name was Herr Thumper.
Mr. Thumper.
You're welcome.
Well, at least it's better than the Hofstadter's house where they're all doctors. The surprising warmth, even Dr. Boots? Dr. Puss in Boots.
Dr. Puss.
Although I think that was honorary. The surprising warmth of this ancient cold-blooded creature has made them rather popular pets for families with pet dander allergies and for retirees. They're allergic to
No, they're not allergic to retirement. They're
Retirees
allergic
having
to cats
too.
and dogs.
You got it.
Yeah.
After years of living free, save, one vicious beta fish, my family and I decided to adopt, I love this, a captive desert tortoise. I love this guy. Fittingly, it was slow and steady. In Arizona, where we live, the state runs a captive desert tortoise adoption program.
This turtle's a rescue.
The rescue tortoise, yes. The adoption is free, but requires an application that includes photos and a diagram of the tortoise's new home.
Huh. He got a new shell?
Your home that's adopting him.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, I guess he did a shell outside his shell there.
Does the tortoise have to approve this?
There's a cute picture of the little red-haired girl with the tortoise on her lap. It's very cute. I think she's trying to teach him to, I don't know, not die. We spent hours.
Come on, up on your hind legs. Up on your hind legs.
Spent hours setting up her habitat in our backyard, digging out rocks, fashioning a burrow, planting tortoise-friendly flowers. There are such a thing. Yeah. Building the habitat took time, but the tortoise itself is a pretty low-maintenance pet. Well, yeah, it's only... See, what happens is you adopt a tortoise, then you put all this effort in because, you're going to be gone at work.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel bad, so at least this way it looks like you cared. Tortoises sleep through the winter.
Yep.
Which is a process known as brumation in the reptile world. Hibernation if you're a bear.
Okay, so if you're a mammal.
Yeah. They need a cozy den to keep them safe and warm in your house. In the wild, they dig the den themselves. Human-made burrows can be built out of a large PVC pipe, plastic garbage cans, or some cinder blocks with Wonder Board as the roof. Because honestly, when your turtle's gone in, like 120 years, when you try to sell that thing again, location. Yep. It's got good bones, though. For families with kids, there's an extra benefit of the brumation process, says Linda Miziak, who administers the desert tortoise rescue thing in California, because they have one too. The tortoise is awake. They play with it. They get tired of it. It goes to sleep. It wakes up in the spring, and they have a brand new pet who looks a lot like the old pet.
Maybe a little
then
bit.
They take it out for a walk, and then it's time for hibernation again.
Roughly speaking,
I mean,
sure.
They're not that fast. Where do you get how do you get the little collar on him anyways?
He's getting faster. How do you know? We almost got to the door this year.
Desert tortoises are herbivores, if you're wondering. They munch on Bermuda grass, weeds, and many native plants. Hey, they could do what the rabbits are doing to my backyard. My wife
could.
She's looking into gun permits, I think.
We've got plenty of rabbits.
Just remember, kids, they look nice and fluffy and so cute. With a little wiggly nose. They're vermin, all right? They're cute rodents. They eat anything in their path, and they suck at leaving your garden alone.
However, they are tasty.
Oh, especially if you do the sweet and sour.
Yeah, the Hassenpfeffer.
Okay, another Warner Brothers cartoon. See, Warner Brothers cartoons cover everything. Tortoises also don't need water every day since they're well adapted because they're desert tortoises. Yep. And you don't need a second tortoise to keep your pet company because
they don't care.
By the time they introduce themselves, it'd be 3 winters. The funny thing about tortoises, said Sherry Graves of the nonprofit Tortoise Group, which helps people adopt and rehome tortoises. Funny thing about tortoises is they do love people. They don't love one another.
That is odd.
So why an adoption program? According to Arizona Fish and Game, because of the problem of overbreeding. They're frisky little fellas. That must be a sight.
The rabbits of the turtle set?
It's unsafe for captive tortoises to be released into the wild because they can spread diseases to dwindling native populations. And backyard breeding, which is now illegal in Arizona, means more baby tortoises than adopted families are available. Add to that a 50-plus year lifespan, and the result is lots of tortoises.
You know what that is, right?
I have no idea.
It's a tortoise in ecstasy.
And it takes days.
Well, it was, I don't know if it was ecstasy or not, because it was actually mating with a shoe.
The reptile pet trade can be fraught with poaching, a particular concern for certain turtles.
Yes, butter.
Turtle poaching. I would too, you know.
Yeah.
Although an egg is fine poached, I just don't see it. Yeah. Tegan Wolf, who runs Arizona's adoption program, says there are roughly 200 tortoises at her center. 115 of them are babies. So yes, she says they're still breeding in captivity, people.
They know how to do that?
Yep.
How about separating?
Other unexpected tortoise behaviors. They are zippier than imagined. Exploring the yard at a rather rapid pace. That would, of course, be subjective. She was
standing on her hind legs, singing "I Enjoy Being a Girl."
Sure. She was surprisingly friendly, trotted up to greet us when we would go out to visit her, and even clambering onto our laps while we sat cross-legged in her habitat. And when she sleeps, she doesn't tuck up inside her shell, as cartoons would have us believe. Oh, no, Warner Brothers got it wrong?
How could that happen?
She wipes out like Shadow. Splays out, legs akimbo, head frequently lolling to the side. So like Shadow if he drank.
There we go.
By the way, there is one thing you might want to pay attention to. Like other reptiles, tortoises can carry salmonella. Now, who Sal and Ella are, we don't know. But we don't want them, so people, especially kids, should wash their hands after touching or interacting with them. Sure, that'll happen. There you go. Everything you almost need to consider a tortoise for your house. Do they have snow tortoises?
I want to be a turtle peppy.
Just stop now. We're done.
Okay.
This is going to go somewhere creepy.
This is true, really news. Send email to TITR@netradio.network.